So we actually share a hometown in common. I'm also from Franklin. I feel like we had this very blessed childhood. I mean, especially you come from a musical family, but we got to see performers before they made it big at small venues. So I was just wondering if you have any memories like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's so funny. Like um another Franklin band, Paramore, of course. Uh, uh, we kind of grew up together. I knew the Farrow brothers and Taylor pretty well. As we were growing up, you start hearing like, oh, you should come to our show. We're playing at Rocket Town or we're playing at Exit In. And you go and you're like, oh my gosh, they're so good,
Yeah.
just starting out. And then, of course, I mean, I think the writing was on the wall. Everyone knew something was going to happen with Paramore. But I feel like that with friends. You get to go see your friends at a coffee shop, just kind of figuring out what they're doing. I'm trying to think. I mean, I just went. This is just what I love about music in general, but I just went to a band called Copeland.
Oh
They
yeah.
just they're doing a reunion tour for their first album, 20-year anniversary. And uh it was so like that to me was Nashville when I was in high school, driving down the Rocket Town, driving down to Exit In and seeing all these bands come through it because I felt like there was a little scene here uh where like I don't know, now touring it feels like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go play that room because we know it'll be awesome. I feel like maybe that was a little bit in that scene, Nashville. uh
Yeah.
and that was cool to be a part of and
Yeah.
kind of relive that the other night. But gosh, yeah, I feel like so many of those people, uh, especially being the son of someone in the industry, like having other bands that he would tour with come by the house and bring over gifts for the little boys who were me and my brother at the time. Uh, I don't know. We felt like we had a lot of uncles or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Just speaking of Nashville, obviously you opened the tour at the Ryman sold out show. What was that like for you being a native and then getting to play the Ryman Auditorium?
Oh man. I think everyone that plays Ryman knows it's special, whether they're from the UK or Australia or Nashville. I'd have to think it's a little more special if you grew up here. You understand like just the reverence and the history that like its roots. Like I feel like the Ryman has literal roots that just branch out all under Nashville and it's like holding it all together somehow. And so for us, when we put on shows, we consider it a like we're giving ourselves to something. We're giving ourselves to the people that spent money and time to come see us. We're giving our songs away in that moment to let them be interpreted and felt by the fan or even the not fan that came. Like we feel like it's a giving thing. And I say that because the Ryman was one of the first shows, maybe the only show that I can really remember where we felt like we were getting more than we were giving. The audience knew what it meant to us, or you could feel this thing in the room where it's like everyone knows how special this is for us. Everyone knows how hard we've worked for this moment. And that was a gift to the band to be able to kind of like take time in between every song and just kind of like soak it up.
Yeah, probably
um,
one of those nights you never wanted to end.
yes, totally.
And then you're making your Opry debut, which is huge. What was
Yeah.
it like the day you got that phone call? You're like, we're gonna play the Opry.
Oh man, I honestly I'm still kind of like, what are we gonna do at the Opry? It's not really our scene, but it's a dream. Like it's a bucket list. I've played the Opry with my dad, who's kind of a regular there, and so I'd get the vibe. I know kind of the you get on, play a few songs and get off. Um, and so I'm curious. We still don't know exactly what we're even gonna do there, but so I'm nervous and I'm so excited to just like put our stamp on the Opry stage. Be like, all right, we did it.
Yeah. Are you preparing for this any differently than you would prepare for anything else?
I think, I mean, we haven't started preparing yet, but yes, I think it's just a different mindset. It's not like we can't necessarily go up there and just do the Colony House like this is our show. We're going to pull out
Right.
all the props. It's a little bit of there's a format to it almost. So trying to figure out how to make sure it's true to what we do, but also leaning into the Opry. And I imagine it'll come across a little more Tennessee than maybe Colony House usually sounds. So
Yeah. I think you'll convert some Opry regulars to Colony House fans after the performance is
thank you.
over. So
I think it'll be fun. That's for
yeah.
sure.
And then you also have Bonnaroo coming up. Have you been to Bonnaroo as a fan?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
I've been to
so
Bonnaroo. And then we've been booked to play Bonnaroo. This is our third time being booked to play it, but hopefully it will be the first time we get to. The first year we were booked was pandemic. Second year it flooded. It stormed really bad, like the day
yeah,
before we played. And so fingers crossed that this is the year we get to
no,
actually.
it is. This is the year.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah.
So do you have any like special memories from going to Bonnaroo in the past, like a favorite performance that you saw?
Yes, me and my wife went early on in our marriage, and we just kind of like, hey, we had a friend that had some extra tickets, and we're like, let's just go. Uh so we didn't really even plan. We weren't like true blue Bonnaroo campers, the whole deal, but we didn't really plan it out. So we were surprised by every performance. I think for me, the standout performance was Beach House.
Okay.
It was Beach House was they were still, I think, touring oh gosh, what's that album called? The one with all the white dots on the album. I think Bloom in Bloom. No, I don't know. But it was like an iconic album, and they played it kind of like all those songs, and I was kind of losing my mind. That we saw Lord Huron, which I was massive fan of. And um I think that was like that was kind of the year the Lumineers hit the scene really hard. And so Mumford and Sons was supposed to play main stage, but their bass player had the like brain aneurysm thing happen. So they canceled. And so Lumineers um were playing around the same time, and it was pretty special.
Yeah. Well, you obviously have great taste in music and you make great music. So I promise I'm getting to the album now, which I
Oh,
love.
great.
Like I said, it's just such good vibes. Like I listen to this album, I'm like, I'm just happy right now. Like it makes me so happy.
Thank you.
So I love that you have a song on it called Landlocked Surf Rock, but also that's kind of like what you say your band is, which I find interesting because like I think of surf rock and I'm like Beach Boys. So I'm
Yeah.
curious, like what are your inspirations that kind of draw that sound out of you guys?
I mean, Beach Boys are a big influence from the earlier days, especially Pet Sounds era. I would say we use surf rock loosely. If a true surf rock fan heard us claim surf rock, they'd be like, yeah, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Which I understand, but I think that we've been told for Tennessee boys, we got a little bit of this West Coast surfy thing going on, and everyone's a little confused by that. Like, where did that come from? And I think we just like in the kind of pivotal, like, you're just that stage in life. I feel like it's like high school and right after high school where you're kind of like just inhaling music and like figuring out what you really resonate with. And then if you're a music maker, you're kind of putting all that in a blender and seeing what comes out. I think a lot of those bands were um British rock bands, which again doesn't really make the surf rock thing make as much sense. But there's a band specifically called the Vaccines that we are huge fans of, especially an album called What Did You Expect from the Vaccines. And it's a very surf rock kind of inspired album, surfy. And so I think we really resonated with that. And then as we kind of put our own thing onto that sound, uh, it started resonating with other people. Songs like You Know It, Silhouettes, even just like kind of a cruiser, you know, I don't know, like convertible, windows down type of a song.
Yep.
Feel good, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think the landlocked surf rock thing made sense to us because we're like, it's not surf rock, but it's not like twang, but
Yeah.
there's a little bit of that in there. So somehow it's both of those together, and that's our own thing.
And I know that this is going to be like asking you a favorite child, but do you have a favorite track on the album?
It's funny, I don't listen to the album much anymore. I've spent a lot of time with it. Usually when about the time it comes out is about the time we're kind of done with it because we
Right.
so many times, so many hours and days kind of toiling with it. But after touring always brings new life into the songs, and after this tour that we just finished up, I think Do You Ever Feel was a big one that like that song's like therapy for me to play. It just some of those sometimes songs just like from even the way you play them on guitar like is like uh yeah, it's like an exercise or something that just like feels good to get out every night. It feels good. And I don't think it's necessarily a crowd favorite, but it feels important for us to play.
Right.
So that one's always special. I wrote that for one of my best friends growing up. And it was a cool kind of way to reconnect with him. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll stick with Do You Ever Feel? But there's every single one has a special place in my heart, you know.
Were there any that the fan reaction on the tour was surprising for you that you didn't think, oh wow, I didn't think this one would be such a crowd pleaser, or you thought it would be and it wasn't as much?
It's funny, everyone on stage interprets the crowd differently. I'll be like, I feel like this one isn't landing. And then Scott or Will be like, dude, you must be closing your eyes the whole time because everyone I see people crying and you know, like one, for example, Don't Give Up on Me is a song that's like a really honest kind of just song dealing with insecurities. And I felt like, gosh, we're crushing this. We're playing this so good, but I feel like people are it isn't landing. But then if you ask anyone, it's like you cannot take that out of the set. That is so important, you know. So maybe that one doesn't work. You know, I think Landlocked and Would You Could You both went off on this tour in a way that I was hoping, and it was nice to see that they landed. And of course, our single Cannonballers, that one surprised me personally on like you pick a single before the album comes out and you just hope like this resonates, and live it's an obvious like when the chorus hits like everyone's very about that song. So that was a good feeling to be like, okay, I think we chose correctly on this.
Yeah. I was trying to pick my favorite to be able to tell you, and I keep going back and forth between Everything and Trying to Survive. I cannot decide a favorite,
Yeah,
but there's something about Everything that I just love.
yeah, that one I'll say that was the first song we recorded on the album, and I wrote that song in as maybe the fastest I ever wrote a song, like 30 minutes, just and um I that's one I can always go back to and listen to and be like, wow, this is just cool. This is
Yeah.
so simple. I like it's one of those lyrics I'm proud of because it's not heady, it's not like trying to be anything. It's not, it just is like, oh, I can't believe I thought like this sounds I mean this in a humble way. Like, you know, those songs where you're like, dang, I wish I would have thought of that. I kind of like this idea of like, I want everything to do with you. I'm like, how did no one think of that yet? I get to claim that one. That's
Yeah.
pretty good. So
Yeah.
that one's definitely a proud moment on the
Yeah.
record.
Killer songwriting on that one too.
Thank you.
So I don't want to keep you any longer, but I do have to ask you a couple of Nashville questions.
All
One of
right.
the things that whenever I was reading about you talking about just like the beauty of Nashville, is there a place that you love to go that you're like, we're so lucky that we have this spot here?
I mean, I feel that about mm, a road that I run on pretty much now that the weather's getting nice every day. It's beautiful. It ends up right by the Harpeth River. Uh, I mean, anytime once the weather gets nice, we're canoeing down the Harpeth River, or like we're right next to the Natchez Trace, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Just the most beautiful road maybe in America.
Yeah. Yeah.
besides maybe driving through like Big Sur, really pretty place. I put it this way, it's like we get spoiled to it because we live here. But if I was like at an Airbnb and I was going on a run and I was like, this is where I'm at, I would think, gosh, what if I could live here? That's
Yeah.
kind of how I feel about Franklin. And
Yeah. Okay. So my last question, this is a really serious one. What is your favorite Nashville restaurant?
I mean, my gut instinct is City House, because it's been like a go-to for the band. We've had a lot of meetings there, had a lot of good meals there, a lot of date nights there.
I like it. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to talk to you. The album is killer.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait to see you guys at Bonnaroo.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.